So before I move on to my selling and administrative expenses, I need to just reconcile what my ending finished goods inventory is going to be for when I put together my balance sheet. So this is my finished goods inventory. And I'm just going to say June 30th because this is just a snapshot in time. So this is just at June 30th that I think my ending inventory is going to be this. So I'm going to start off with my production costs per unit. So I'm just going to list all of my product costs, which are my direct materials, my direct labor, and my manufacturing overhead. So you know that they move into the WIP account, and then once I'm finished making them, they move into the finished goods account, and then once I've sold them, then they move into the cost of goods sold account. So I'm just trying to figure out which amounts are currently finished, but I just haven't sold them yet. So I have my production costs per unit, and then I have my quantity. Then I have my cost, and then this will give me my total per unit. So I do want to convert now everything into a per unit cost, only because that's how I put together my production budget. So with the direct materials, if I go back up to my schedule, the quantity I believe was the 5 kilograms. So I'm just going to grab the 5 kilograms from here. And then the cost was 40 cents. So that was the cost per kilogram. So I'm just taking it from the quarter totals. And that should be fine as long as none of those change by month. So when I want to know this per unit, all I have to do is take my 5 kilograms, multiply that by my 40 cents, and that will give me my unit cost of $2 per unit of direct materials. So I'll do the same thing with my direct labor. I want to know how many hours per unit. So let's see here. So on my direct labor budget, I have 0.05 minutes. So that's about 3 minutes. Let's see here. And I just want everything to 2 decimal places. So I just I press that button right there, the comma style, and then it put it to 2 decimal places for me. And I'm just reminding myself that this is hours. And then the cost, I think, was $10 per hour. So I'll just grab that amount here to 2 decimal places. And that one's in dollars. And so then my total per unit is take the number of hours times by the cost, and then that will convert it to units. So that's 0.05. And then manufacturing overhead. So I'm not sure how we're actually applying manufacturing overhead. So different questions can have us applying it differently. The most 2 common ways are direct labor, especially if you have workers on an assembly line, or machine hours if it's automated instead. But I'll just show you a workaround. So what I could actually do is if I want my total per unit, I can go up to my manufacturing overhead account and make sure you grab your total manufacturing overhead costs. You don't want it after the cash disbursements. So I'm clicking on the 151, which I just realized there's an error in that spreadsheet. So we'll go back and fix that. And then I'm going to divide that by my production in units, which is the 101. and then that will give me my unit cost. So let's fix this question. So what I noticed here is when I did the quarter, I didn't actually subtotal my fixed manufacturing overhead costs. So that should be 150. And then when I did the subtotal here for the quarter, I didn't subtotal my depreciation either. So I'd have to add those three together. So now that I fixed the quarter totals, then now this manufacturing overhead cost per unit changed to 249. So I took the 251 and then I divided it by the 101. Now the question will have to tell us how it's being applied. So let's just go and read to see how, and then I can just work backwards. So it tells me at Royal, manufacturing overhead is applied to units of product on the basis of direct labor hours. So perfect. So it's just going to be 0.05 hours. So that's the direct labor hours. Now each question isn't always going to be direct labor hours. You have to figure out how it's actually being applied. And now if I just take the 249 and divide that by the 0.05, then that will give me my cost for every 3 minutes, which is 0.05. And that comes out to 49.70. Now let's just total up my units. So my product cost per unit is $4.99. So now that we have that unit cost, we can figure out what our ending inventory is. So my budgeted finished goods inventory, and this is from the production budget. So if we go all the way back up to the production budget, and let's see where our ending inventory amounts are. It's right here, so 5,000. So you can either take it at June 30th or quarter ended, which is June 30th. So that's the number that I'm looking to convert. So that's in units. And now if I take my unit cost, which is the $4.99, and just multiply that out, then that gives me 24,926. So I'm hiding decimal places. So hopefully I won't have a rounding error when I do my balance sheet. And this is the ending finished goods inventory.